We are live. What up, y'all?
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen.
Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I have something to present. We are live.
I'm trying to be a boy, I can't take no deficit. I'm getting dopey this weed, I'm inhaling it. This is some pressure, you know I ain't selling it. Come to my area and poverty prevalent. I'm on the block, yeah, I stay with the fellas. Nigga, I'm young and I'm black and I'm eloquent. They trying to book me, my skin full of melanin. TV don't like me and say that I'm menacing. She gon' ride up on me like she heaven sent. I'ma ride on this beat with some elegance. I ain't worried about being relevant. Everything that I say got some relevance. I be reading, I stay with intelligence. Making music, this shit be my medicine. Yeah, they like how I write, I got penmanship. I could teach you, I got an apprenticeship. I could teach you the subject and predicate. I could teach you, you know I got reverence. I'm a chef when I cook it, be decadent. Every way that I feel, I'm expressing it. I'm an Knicks fan, so I got my own membership. I really do this, ain't on no pretender shit. Put respect on my name, I'm accredited. Got some butt off the strength, he gon' credit it. What I see when I turn on the news, another nigga got killed for his shoes. Another nigga got clipped cause he jacking some shit that he ain't know about what it's new. Or you still trying to rap, nigga, what you gon' do? Or you still trying to trap, nigga, what you gon' move? Talk to you later, I'm making a move. Light up some Zion, go straight to the moon. Blueberry cruffin', you know I'm in tune. I'm on the dance floor, I'm bustin' a move. Spent so much money, got nothing to lose. I'm sparking the change, but I'm lighting the fuse. My water was muddy when I had the blues. Red pill, blue pill, nigga, what you gon' choose? Don't care if they sleepin', I let them stay snooze. End of the day, I'ma pay all my dues. Finna flex on these niggas like biceps. Young nigga Haitian, but no, I ain't White Clef.
Young nigga Haitian, but no, I ain't White Clef.
Had to go put some road to the tire.
Word.
Yeah, man.
So,
in America.
we are here with the first stream of 2023. Happy New Year's to everybody.
Young black men in America.
I'm glad that we have made it. Let me turn this down a little bit. Yeah, I'm glad that we've made it to the new year. Hope everybody's well. I'm just gonna end up doing a little reaction video to a video I ended up seeing. By the way, go stream that Young Black America. Go stream that No Deficit live on all platforms. Proud artist from Flatbush, Brooklyn stand up, New York stand up. Yeah, I just came across this video earlier, and the video was attorney Dennis Sperling on Fox 26, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I just wanted to react to it because it actually kind of irked me. Kind of irked me a little bit. And I didn't expect it. Right. So first we'll start off with who is Dennis Sperling? For those of you who may not be aware, Dennis Sperling is actually an attorney he's been practicing for over 20 years, I believe. Got to put respect on his name. Overall, I think that he's a good brother, man. I think he's a good brother. But I will say this video kind of turned me off, man. It threw me off a little bit because I was like, hold on. Anyways, so Dennis Sperling is an attorney who is licensed to work out of Houston, Texas, New York, and a few other states. He's an attorney for... trying to actually find it right now. I want to make sure I'm not sitting here just chatting to y'all. Dennis D. Sperling. He's an American trial lawyer. Here he advocates. Here he acts as an advocate for all men, and specifically black men. Attorney licensed to practice law in the state of Texas, Louisiana, New York, and Illinois. Shout out Dennis Sperling. Dennis Sperling I actually came across after shortly after Kevin Samuels passed away. Rest in peace to the Godfather. I came across Dennis Sperling because he was a close friend of Kevin Samuels at the time, an acquaintance within the Black Manosphere, and he had his own channel. and his channel dope. He gives perspectives, and he gave perspectives on nuances and happenings in the Black community from the perspective of a lawyer, and similar to the lead attorney, but he has his own swag with it. Now, I mean, he got his own type of vibe with it, and so I really started fucking with him after he ended up doing a memorial service and showing a lot of love, hoping to bring more information to and put respect and defend Kevin Samuels after he passed from a lot of the vitriol he was getting from not just Black women, but also a lot of Black men, a lot of betas sending and I try not to use those terms too much, but you know, we comedic over here. I try not to take myself too seriously, although I should. And I think we should take ourselves very seriously. But he was showing a lot of love to Kevin Samuels and helping to bring information to light and, you know, dispel any type of bad rumors or any type of untrue rumors circulating after Kevin Samuels passed. And so I started actually watching a lot of his videos and tapping into him. And so overall, I actually do fuck with Dennis Berlin. So it's not like I'm making this video to try to like attack him or go after him or anything like that. I just think that there's a lot of ideologies circulating amongst Black people that are already circulating, and we already have enough of those, but it's only working to further confuse and confound and compound the issues that we face as a community. So I'm going to throw this video up here, get y'all to take a look at it. Actually,
is at the top of the travel list destinations here in the world. But now there's an alert that claims, get this, dark-skinned travelers, that means my ass could be grass. Dark-skinned travelers should be careful if they plan on visiting. We'll explain when we return. Could seriously mess up your trip to the Dominican Republic if it's all true. The U.S. Embassy there is officially putting out a warning for dark-skinned Black travelers. According to the embassy, the country's migration agents could mistake Black Americans or other people with dark skin tones for Haitian immigrants. And if you leave your passport at the resort, you could even be detained. My next guest here on The Factor Uncensored, Fox 26 photographer Tori Walker and attorney Dennis Sperling, both of them spend in the Dominican Republic. Glad to have you both here. As you and I talked over the weekend, and you didn't put much, know what the complexion of that country is.
Well, most of the dollars come from coming in to vacation there. So hurt that, I think, would be counterproductive to, you know, the way that they make their money. So I just don't put too much credence into it.
And Dennis, you spend a lot of time there as well. And when you hear that they may be going after,
I'm going to say one thing real quick. He did say Dennis Sperling spends a lot of time there. For those who don't see, I got the you see I'm rocking the Zoe shirt. That's intentional because it's a lot going on, man. It's a lot going on. And he's saying that Dennis spends a lot of time in the DR. I do, if I'm not mistaken, Dennis Sperling's current fiance is actually Dominican, if I'm not mistaken. I could be mistaken, but I do believe that his current fiance is Dominican. So trust and believe he definitely did spend a lot of time there. So keep that in mind, because I think that also might play into a little bit of a cultural bias. And then we also have to factor in colorism. But I'm not trying to chop it up too much because I want y'all to be able to really analyze and dissect it for yourself.
Dark-skinned individuals because they don't want Haitians in that country. That crosses a line into intra-racial racism.
Right.
So your thoughts on that?
Well, you know, Isaiah, usually I come here and I'm able to have fun and talk to you and your audience, but you know, this is a very serious issue. And as a Black American, as a foundational Black American, I don't want to put myself into the lived experiences of either a Haitian person, a citizen, or a Dominican citizen. Now, I lived in the Dominican Republic.
As a foundational Black American, I don't want to put myself into the lived experiences of a Dominican nor a Haitian. What does that mean? I mean, shout out Dennis Sperling, but what does that mean? Especially when you say that you do so much work and you're doing so much work for Black men and you're focused on building Black men, Black boys, right? Haitians, no, don't they have Black boys, Black men there? Dominicans, although quite a few of them don't view themselves as Black. I know Black, you know that going, but don't they also too have Black men and Black boys there as well? Is the idea that anybody's trying to get you to put yourself into their lived experience, or is the idea that you should be thinking of their lived experiences and this type of conflict, especially when he's saying that this type of conflict have ramifications that surround the pigmentation of someone's skin? And I've listened to Dennis, right? And if you guys see in the cover, I have video. Let me pull it up for y'all. Let me make sure I get y'all a good picture. All right. Bear with me. Definitely hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. In the meanwhile, wow, that's a lot. I'm sharing the screen. Okay. Here we go. So this book, United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept, a compensatory counter-racist code, is the code book for victims of racism, white supremacy. It's a textbook, workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of white supremacy. And Dennis has himself said that he is familiar. That's the cover for the video. All right. Cool. So Dennis himself has said that he actually is familiar with the code, and he said that it came out. I remember he had somebody that called on to the panel on one of his shows and started trying to basically school him on Neely Fuller Jr. And that person themselves may not have been that very well read on the code, but Dennis ended up alerting that person and letting them know that he's actually familiar with the code, so it ain't nothing new to him. So it's very interesting to me that he would take the stance of saying that he is not trying to put himself into the lived experiences of either a Dominican nor a Haitian, when one, that wasn't even the question that was posed to you. And two, if you're aware of the code, I would assume that you would know that that's kind of a problematic thing to say, even outside of the code. If I tell you that Dominicans are persecuting or potentially can persecute dark-skinned people who are Black Americans simply because they think that y'all are Haitians and only because of your skin color, as a Black man, you should be alert to that, period. And you should be looking at that and thinking about that, emphasizing that a little bit more than he did right there. So I'm kind of that kind of put me a little
I've watched the news there. I've
on
interacted
edge.
with lived in the Dominican Republic.
Just run it back a little bit.
I've watched the news there. I've interacted with folks from there. I understand that there's a lot of history that goes on between these two countries. They fought wars against each other. There's sports competition. But on top of that, if you watch the news, there's a lot of bad press about Haitian immigrants. I saw a news report where, and this is several years back, where a young Dominican woman had her arms cut off by a Haitian man who she rebuffed his advances. There's stories that go around the countryside.
Now see what he's see what that. I hope y'all saw what that was. I hope y'all saw what that was right there. I hope y'all saw what that was. Because this is what I mean by FBA, right? The whole FBA movement. And that's another thing that we got to get into as well. What is FBA, right? What is this acronym for FBA? Well, FBA are foundational Black Americans, right? Foundational Black Americans is a term that's been popularized by the one and only Tariq Nasheed. Shout out Reek, man. Shout out Reek, the producer of the docu-series Hidden Colors, which is an amazing docu-series. Amazing docu-series. And he has also gained a lot of publicity, a lot of notoriety through making YouTube videos, getting on YouTube, and being active to whatever degree that you may think, in not just his community, but just in Black politics, Black affairs, speaking to racism, white supremacy. And he's basically based his entire platform off of Neely Fuller Jr.'s compensatory Codebook, the same book that I showed you guys. Now, what is the Codebook? What is the code? See, the code is, as it said, a textbook / speech book. Well, a textbook for speech, thought, or action for victims of white supremacy, right? It's a counter-racist code. And so the idea is that the code book, when read thoroughly, when understood thoroughly, and when the code, it's not about the book, it's about the code and the logic. When that logic is understood thoroughly, we can make progress towards dismantling the system of white supremacy in all 9 areas of human activity. The 9 areas of human activity being labor, law, education, entertainment, economics, sex, war, and I'm missing two. All right, let's try this again. Education, entertainment, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. 9 areas of human activity. One more time. Education, entertainment, economics, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. All right. So Dennis Sperling operates within the area of human activity known as law, also economics. Well, I mean, he's an individual within a system of white supremacy, and so at all times we're reacting to and acting within all of these different areas of human activity. Even me myself, I'm acting within the area of whether it be entertainment right now. If education is entertainment, this is entertaining for me, but this is also entertaining for anyone who may end up viewing this, but it can also be educational. So those are two areas of activity just right there. Also, it being on YouTube, a platform that makes money off of this. There's economics involved. So there's always multiple different areas of human activity at play. And so the code asserts that white supremacy dominates, right? White people who believe in white supremacy control and operate all 9 areas of human activity at all times. Sounds crazy to a lot of people, sounds wacky, but a lot of shit sound crazy to a lot of people, right? So at the end of the day, the question is whether it's true or not. True or false? Do white people control and operate all 9 areas of human activity within the United States, or within this area that we call the United States, or within the world, however you want to look at it? And predominantly the answer is true. And so if that's the case, to bring that all back to the code, and why I'm saying that this is off code is because, see, what Dennis Sperling is doing there, as he says, that there was this instance in which they cut off the arms of a Dominican woman, and just, he didn't cite anything. That's not to say that this is not possible. It's not to say that it's not possible at all, right? But what it is to say is that what he's basically doing in that moment is he's taking this scenario, and he knows use of words. He's a lawyer. He know how to talk, right? So he knows that him bringing up this scenario in which a Haitian, right, presumably a darker skinned person than a Dominican, we'll also get into that as well, because we have to bring some actual truth and historical accuracy to what it is that he's speaking to at this moment in time. Said he spends a lot of the time in the Dominican Republic. So that's why I wanted to make sure that y'all think about that, and really think about the fact that he said that he spends a considerable amount of time, and has spent a considerable amount of time in the Dominican Republic, a lighter skin, whatever. Anyways. And so he brings up this instance to basically do what media has always done towards Black people, Black males in general, which is present this idea of the notorious Black dark-skinned boogeyman, or this Black boogeyman, right? This Black man that's just prone to violence and murder, and these people. And it also aligns with the same sentiments that have always been used as stereotypes, not just stereotypes, but basically as constructions of white supremacy to make Haiti and Haitians sound and put them towards the bottom of the barrel in regards to their social standings in the world, as a result of them being the first Black nation to gain their independence within the Western Hemisphere. And so they've always been facing the repercussions of that. Mr. Dennis Sperling, I know you know that. I know you know Toussaint, young Toussaint. I know you know who Toussaint is. I know you know who Jean-Jacques Dessalines is. I know you know who all of the Aristide. When you think about just Haiti in general and how impactful their own historic contributions are, I know he's aware of that. But in this moment in time, he's choosing to create and align with the same white supremacist language and dog whistles that have always been used to demonize Black people, so that he can preserve his own good standing within the Dominican Republic, amongst Dominicans, and in general, so that he won't be forced to pick a side. But notice how when you decide to not tell the truth, notice how when you decide to obfuscate, or you decide to change and create a certain type of narrative that doesn't bring forth more understanding, you end up indeed still picking a side. And him bringing up that scenario instance, whether it be true or not, when asked the question simply about what that should look like, what the ramifications might be for foundational Black Americans who are faced with demonization or any type of persecution because of their darker skin tone as a result of the ongoing intraracial, that was another one, intraracial racism in the DR towards Haitians. And him bringing up that example in that moment in time is extremely problematic. Fuck that. That shit is just like, what are you doing, bro? He's better than that. He's better than that. So we'll get back to it though. We'll get back to it though, because yeah, you better than that, bro.
You know, the immigrants come there and then get jobs, and they end up killing the people in the fincas or the Dominican owners of the property. So there's a lot that we don't know. But the main thing is, as a foundational Black American, it's not my job. As an American, it's not my job to be the police of the rest of the world. We tried that. It didn't work. We have issues here in the United States. We're concerned. We got 18 people who died right here in Harris County in the lockup over the last 2 years. So we have our own issues as Black Americans that we need to deal with. And the thing is, I haven't received any outreach from any Haitians. I don't see them opening up their borders and allowing us to become citizens, dual citizens of their country. Same thing for our African countries. They're not extending these arms to us. And I'm gonna tell you this, since the George Floyd incident, what I found is that Black Americans, our hearts have gone a little bit colder, because we realized that there's no outlet for us and we're in it on our own. And anything that we achieved in this country, we fought for. Yeah, there is racism. There's in South America, Central America, and the Caribbean. We dealt with that here in the United States. But the thing is, as foundational Black Americans, as those Black Americans who can trace our roots to Mississippi, Alabama, and these tobacco farms in North Carolina, we stayed and we fought. We didn't run. We didn't try to go to someone else's country illegally. We stayed and we fought, and we made this country what it is for us. And now you have folks coming over and doing that. But what you benefit here in the United States, that's from the hard work. It's illegal to racially profile someone in the United States. It's illegal for a cop to do that. That's a luxury of the United States, due largely in part to the hard work of foundational Black Americans. So that's
what has been your experience there when you have gone there? Because obviously, while this is an alert from the U.S. Embassy there, it's been tension going on for quite some time. Yeah. So what has been your experience when you visit the Dominican Republic?
When I go there, I mainly hang with people that look like me. So I hadn't had any issues whatsoever any of my times there.
Is it possible that some of that could go on because you're not privy and you're not from there?
Oh, I'm sure it does. Yes, I've heard of it, and I'm sure it does. They're pretty harsh against Haitians in that country. That's just.
Would you guys advise any Americans to continue to go there, or would you say, right, let's just take a pause and see what happens?
I'm not changing my plans. Yeah. Here's the thing. Just like I know you're a Black American, I can look at you and tell, I can look at my Nigerian brothers and I can look at you and tell that you from around here. You understand what I'm saying?
They can tell by the way you walk.
They can tell. They got a different language, a different culture. They have different ways in which they communicate, they know each other. That is not our fight. That is something that exists between Haiti and the Dominican Republic, and those governments need to work that out. Americans, I've never had any issues.
But would you recommend someone going there if that's not our, because we could be caught in the middle of it?
Get your passport.
But you're saying they would recognize us.
You are going to be in, you're going to be in Punta Cana, You're gonna be in on the North Coast in Puerto Plata, Sosua. You're gonna be in Santo Domingo. This is not your fight.
He just telling you I go regardless, bro.
By your T-shirt
And your
and your
recommendation
Hold on, let's let it
for
play out.
Americans.
I say go.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We want
I
to
say
thank you
go.
both. Still to come here on The Factor Uncensored, a one-on
These, Lord. Shout out to this brother. I will say shout out to this brother right here. I will say shout out to this brother right here because I do feel like you did a good job in continuing to question them, right? And the line of questioning that he took and the line of questioning that you took was unbiased, but at the same time, you were using it to advocate for the safety of Black people and Black Americans, but at the same time, you were saying that you were emphasizing that this is a real deal conflict. The other brother besides Dennis, I don't know what he said. He's only there with people who are his skin tone. That's interesting to me because them niggas do not be his skin tone. I mean, some of the niggas, a lot of the niggas do be, but you know, I would wonder who I'd assume you be with some ladies, so. But whatever that is, I ain't even gonna get into all of that. But do y'all know about a General Trujillo, whatever you want to call him? In DR, he actually went out of his way to make sure that the only immigrants that they allowed in the DR were from places geographically that have lighter skinned people like Asia, Europe, those type of places. And he stopped and banned any type of intraracial mixing between Haitians and Black folks. I mean, Haitians and Dominicans. And this is where that FBA thing, and I don't want to say the FBA thing, because I will say I did support FBA initially. I was definitely a supporter of the whole foundational Black American or racial designation. And again, this is why when you don't understand the system of white supremacy and what it works and how it works, everything else you do understand will only confuse you, and you will only produce more confusion yourself. And that is what one of the young boys that got up on his live tried to tell him at one point. And Dennis, put it to the side, and he was like, I don't need to hear that. I heard Neely Fuller when he first came out. I was here when that first came out. I don't need to hear nothing about that. But right now, Dennis Furlan, I called him Dennis Furlan. That might be a new one. But right now, Dennis Furlan is confused. He sounds confused. I want to get back to.
I mainly hang with people that look like me, so
That was funny, but I
hadn't had any issues whatsoever any of my time.
Our hearts have gone a little bit colder because we realize
our hearts have gone a little colder
into the lived experiences of either a Haitian person, a citizen.
This is what I want to get back to. Right
now, I lived in the Dominican Republic. I've watched the news there. I've interacted with
y'all see the banner.
Folks from there. I understand.
Is what Dennis Furlan is talking about true? What is the Parsley Massacre? We're going to get into it.
There's a lot of history that goes on between these two countries. Mm-hmm. They fought wars against each other. There's sports competition. But on top of that, if you watch the news, there's a lot of bad press about Haitian report where, and this is several years back, where a young Dominican woman had her arms cut off.
Hold on. I just realized this man said this is several years back. This is several years back, this man said. He said he saw a news report several years ago. And I'm assuming it wasn't a Haitian news report. I'm assuming it wasn't even an American news report. I'm assuming it was probably a Dominican news report with the way he said that. Right? I think that's fair to assume that he's not talking about any type of, unbiased party media.
A young Dominican woman had her arm. A lot of bad press about Haitian immigrants. I saw a news report.
There's a lot of bad press about Haitian immigrants. Clearly, that can't be a Haitian publication, right? Clearly, that you can even argue that can't even really be an American publication or an American media outlet, because the idea of Haitian immigrants, right? A lot of bad press. And they said Dennis Berlin spends a lot of time in DR. He has spent a lot of his time in the Dominican Republic. So one can assume that this is the Dominican Republic itself spewing their own propaganda, their own narrative, to make the Dominican citizens view Haitians in a less desirable way, as they always have. Why do I say so? Let me cue this up for y'all real quick. There was a little poem. I actually don't want to read the poem because I don't know why I was going to read the poem, but it might be a good poem. It actually might be a good poem. So the reason why I actually wanted to show this to you guys is because, not necessarily because of the poem, but if y'all ever want to check it out, it's Parsley by Rita Dove. And it's about the Parsley Massacre. And when I went down to the bottom, which gave more context to what this is, what it's about, says, note, on October 2nd, 1937, Rafael Trujillo, 1891 to 1961, dictator of the Dominican Republic, ordered 20,000 blacks. He didn't say Haitians. He didn't even say Haitians, right? On October 2nd, 1937, Rafael Trujillo, dictator of the Dominican Republic, ordered 20,000 blacks killed. Not because they took a Dominican woman that was helpless and chopped both of her arms off, which sounds eerily similar to when white people have always used the black male rapist stereotype. Dr. Tommy Curry has spoken about. It's known, very well known. The black male aggressor, the black aggressor, right? You would assume that these are black males if you say that they're Haitians, because Haitians are synonymous with black, about as black as you could get. Just like Nigerian, just like any other race of the diaspora, right? When you hear Haitian, oh, they black. We know that. I don't know if that has anything to do with the idea of, independence. And, I do believe that anyways, let me not even get off track because I'm getting off track. But they were killed because they could not pronounce the letter R in perejil, the Spanish word for parsley. So the dictator of the Dominican Republic in 1937, not even 100 years ago, y'all. This ain't even a century ago, right? Ordered 20,000 blacks killed because they could not pronounce the fucking letter R in perejil, the Spanish word for parsley. So let's talk about it. Since we want to bring up these black male aggressors, right? Since we want to bring up these black male aggressors, damn, this shit might not have even been big enough for y'all. Maybe. See, I should have presented it like this. Let me make sure that y'all get a good look at it. I want to make sure y'all get a good look at it. Make sure y'all get a good look at it, so y'all know I'm not making this up. Okay. Okay. Parsley by Rita Dove. Okay. The cane fields, etc., etc. So she's referencing slavery. On October 2nd, y'all see that? Dictator of the Dominican Republic. But let's take it a step further though, because this is something I had already known about, and actually I had learned of it, if I'm not mistaken. I had learned of it initially, partially, in Hidden Colors, if I'm truly not mistaken. So let's get to it. It's well-known information. You can even go right here to Wikipedia and check that out. Right? The Parsley Massacre. Okay? So in Spanish, el corte, the cutting. In Creole, coup de couteau, the stabbing. French, massacre de pursuit. Let me not do all that. Anyways. So it was a mass killing of Haitians living in the Dominican Republic's northwestern frontier and in certain parts of the continuous Cibao region in October 1937. Dominican army troops from different areas of the country carried out the massacre on the orders of Dominican Rafael Trujillo. As a result of the massacre, virtually the entire Haitian population in the Dominican frontier was either killed or forced to flee across the border, trying to flee to Haiti across the Dajabon River that divides the two countries on the island. Dominican troops interrogated thousands of civilians, demanding that each victim say the word parsley. If the accused could not pronounce the word to the interrogators' satisfaction, they were deemed to be Haitians and killed. If they couldn't say the word fucking parsley. This is who Dennis Sperling is defending in DR. This is the history. This is the history that he wants to lay up with. These are the people that he want to defend, right? And this is not for me to come at the Dominican Republic and say, oh, all of y'all are horrible people because they're victims of white supremacy. And for me to be able to say that as a Haitian person, you have to understand that I'm making sure I remove the bias, and I'm going to see this from the least confused way possible. And that is that colorism, aka white supremacy, has infiltrated the minds and had infiltrated the minds of all who made him the dictator of the Dominican Republic and made it mandatory that he only has and only finds people of lighter skin tones to contribute to a generational whitewashing of skin color. Excuse me. That's also factual. I'm not sure if it's going to be touched on here, but what I did want to get to is I want y'all to know how this wasn't just a matter of them just killing black men and just randomly killing black men who actually did something to them, right? Because DR, right, and Haiti had always been open. As y'all know, Haiti and Dominican Republic share an island that was at one time called Hispaniola, right? That was an island that, if anybody's familiar, why am I losing my train of thought now? I wanted to actually get into the people who lived on the island before they were all massacred and genocided by white supremacists, Napoleon, right? By white supremacists who brought slaves to the island of Hispaniola so that they can work the island and the sugarcane and all of that. But here we go. This is what Dennis Sperling did, right? He basically gave y'all some happening, whether it's true or not, from several years ago from a news report that he saw that may or may not have come from the Dominican Republic themselves, who may or may not have been lying about it. Could have been another Dominican individual who did it. Again, the Dominican Republic has been deporting people who themselves, and their articles, y'all can look all of this information up. I have no reason to lie. We got to keep it on code, and we have to be accurate with the information that we're divulging, right? To create the greatest level of understanding possible. You had the Dominican Republic, right, deport individuals who had been living there for generations, who speak Spanish, but were descendants of Haitians. Houses there, stores there. There was a story, since we're going to do random news reports that we've seen, right, about Haitians having a bad rep. Those ain't the news reports I saw. I saw the Dominican Republic having a bad reputation as a result of what they were doing to Haitians who resided within the Dominican Republic. You had Haitians, you had Dominicans who were descendants of Haitians, right, who were deported at 70-something years of age. Let me see if I could even find that article for y'all. That would be great. That would be great. Hold on. Matter of fact, I also wanted to just throw this up here real quick too, because I think this can also be a little significant. I think this can also be a little significant. Which way we gonna go first? Which way we gonna go first? This is a quicker one. I'll show y'all this. So Dennis Sperling has a fiance who is damn near white-skinned Dominican woman. Again, if I'm mistaken, please correct me. But this is his ex-fiance. He had a whole show. I didn't even know the homie had a whole show on the CW, Houston CW. My son was in Houston giving it up. This is a black woman. He had a black woman. You see them black kids. He had a black woman. Dennis Sperling himself looked like a Dominican nigga. If he broke out, but he also looked like a Haitian nigga too. Niggas like T-Vice, Kalimi. You have niggas in Haiti that look just like Dennis Sperling. You know what I mean? That could pass as both. They could be Haitian or look at this nigga. Dominican. You got niggas that could pass as both, bro. You know what I mean? This nigga right here, he fit in just fine. That's why he not complaining. He like, yo, fuck it. Que lo que, maní? Que lo que hay, loco? He's out there chilling, bro. He don't care, bro. My son Dennis Sperling, he's like, nigga, what? I got me a lighter skinned mommy. Fiance Kevin Samuels hooked me up. He helped me get this woman. Like, I'm good. So he laying up with a nice Dominican mommy. Know what I mean? That's not to say that she's not beautiful because she's lighter skinned, but it is to say that he had a wife that things didn't work out with. That's also not to say that she's not at fault. That's not to say that he's at fault. That is to say that he had a black woman that he was with, right? Gave a little bit more melanin to his kids than he got. And then immediately after that decided, right? It's a black woman that he with right here, man. I mean, it's a whole look at the melanin on her shoulder. It's a black woman. She got the makeup on, but it's a black woman. I see the hair ain't natural. I know how it go. I'm not new to these streets. That might be natural hair. I don't know. I'm not familiar with all that. But he had a black woman. He got himself a light-skinned woman. Now he taking up for the Dominican Republic when they out here doing shit like the Parsley Massacre and shit like that. But I also wanted to bring to light this right here. Now, I mean, we going in right now. We going in. I came a little prepared. You know, when you doing this with no investment, when you doing this off the fly, just because I felt like I seen it and I just needed to, because, you know, shit don't be grinding my gears like that often, but this grinded my gears. And so I had to, know what I mean? When we talk about white supremacy and when we're talking about elements that are harmful towards black people, especially when we got enough on our plate and we picking up more traits that are even more harmful, you got to check that and correct that. And so I know I might get some hate. From the Dennis Sperling fans, because I'm a fan of Dennis Sperling too. Well, let me not even say fan. I support that brother too, because I do think he has a lot of constructive information for black people and black men. And I do think he can be more constructive, right? And I do feel as though the FBA talking point, because again, these people need to make money. I'm not saying that he's doing it just to make money, but he's trying to blow up on YouTube just like anybody else. Now, I mean, he's not necessarily going out of his way to compromise himself or his backbone just so he can blow up on YouTube. But he also can't necessarily denounce or not use certain talking points, because that would mean that he's losing out on certain algorithms and certain supporters. And so he's aligning himself with these ideologies. And the whole FBA thing is something I gotta do a whole nother. I'm waiting on Tariq to really go out the window. I'm waiting on somebody to say something and really go out the window when it comes to the FBA and versus the whole diaspora conversation, so that we could get to that too. Because that's a whole rabbit hole within itself. This is Dennis Berlin, right? Speaking to, and I was saying that I am a supporter. Let me just finish that thought. I am a supporter of Dennis Berlin because I do feel as though he has a lot of constructive information, and I fuck with the dude. I fuck with my guy, bro. Now, I mean, this is a conversation I would easily have with him. I would love to have with him at any moment in time, but he's a busy dude. He got to make money. Time is money. He's like that. He's an author. He's done a lot of constructive things, man. Like he's definitely a positive and constructive influence on Black men. Now, we do have a lot of non-constructive programming that we already have, right, that we kind of tap into. And so it's not to say that anybody that's constructive for you is going to get you to being 100% on code. That's why you follow the code. You don't follow individuals. You follow the code. You take what's logical and you take what's constructive and you leave what's not. And so I just wanted to say that to say shout out Dennis Berlin, but at the same time, what you said was not cool. What you said was not constructive. What you said was off code. Period. Can't debate with that. You got to debate with the facts. And the fact of the matter is you brought up one scenario from a news outlet that could have been from the Dominican Republic, could have been a complete falsification of any type of information. Person could have been a Dominican person, but they used it to stir up more controversy and more propaganda to make Haitians and Black people as a whole. Charger trying to shut down. Hold on. Laptop trying to shut down. Make Haitians as a whole desirable, seem violent, seem like they want to murder them, so that they can justify the way that they genocide and already persecute and already attack Haitian people and discriminate against Haitian people. And you did that while you may or may not have been aware of the fact that the Dominican Republic, on the orders of their own dictator, the man in charge of the Dominican Republic, ordered that over 20,000, some researchers estimate that that's a gross underestimation, that it was way more. But as we know, bare minimum 20,000 melanated people, boys, girls, men, women, pregnant women, were murdered, genocided by the Dominican Republic. These murders are still happening. If we're talking about anecdotal evidence, I even have an uncle, right, who I never got to meet, who recently, within the past 5 years ago, I believe, recently, I have an uncle who I never got to meet, who was murdered in the Dominican Republic and thrown across the border for reasons unknown. He was robbed. So I'm saying that to say, and I was about to show y'all this video, and I'm still going to, but let me get back to the because I don't think y'all hearing me, and I don't think y'all know how serious this is, and what type of conditioning this must have had on the people of the Dominican Republic for them to move the way that they move now. Okay. So Dominican dictator Rafael Trujillo, a strong proponent of anti-Haitianism, made his intention towards the Haitian community clear in the short speech he gave on October 2nd, 1937, during a celebration in his honor. Okay. I have seen, investigated, and inquired about the needs of the population. To the Dominicans who were complaining of the depredations by Haitians living among them, same thing that Dennis Sperling spewed on that Fox 26 video, thefts of cattle, provisions, fruits, etc., and were thus prevented from enjoying in peace the products of their labor. I have responded, I will fix this, and we have already begun to remedy the situation. 300 Haitians are now dead in Banica. This remedy will continue. Let's say that this is true. The stealing of cattle, provisions, fruits was the reason and justified the death of 300 people alone. Okay? So here we go. To get to. These armed forces killed Haitians with rifles, machetes, shovels, knives, and bayonets. Haitian children were reportedly thrown in the air and caught by soldiers' bayonets, then thrown on their mothers' corpses. Do y'all hear what I'm telling y'all right now? This is why what Dennis Sperling said is complete bullshit. And this is why what he said is so fucking problematic and so much of an issue and so off code. And this is why I'm saying this FBA shit got niggas out they fucking minds saying shit that literally aligns with white supremacist literature and talking points and literally aligns with the system of white supremacy word for word. You talking about some random case that may or may not be true of one Dominican woman who may or may not have been killed by a Haitian person, who may or may not have even been Haitian, because the line between Haitian and Dominican is this thin, nigga. It's this thin. You got Dominican Haitians, you got Haitian Dominicans. It's this thin, right? That one scenario, when you got 20,000 boys, girls, men, and women, over 20,000, easily over 20,000 boys, girls, men, and women who were brutally murdered and genocided. What do you think that does to the population of those people? How do you think of anti-Haitianism, aka anti-blackness? He was a strong proponent of anti-blackness. In the poem, in the notes in the poem, you seen it said he ordered the murders and the killing of blacks, right? And this is the thing with the whole FBA thing. Hold on. Let me because they also y'all see the rest. It gets crazy. It gets crazy. The use of military units from outside the region was not always enough to expedite soldiers' killing of Haitians. U.S. legation informants reported that many soldiers confessed that in order to perform such ghastly slaughter, they had to get blind drunk. Lauren Derby claims that a majority of those who died were born. A majority of those who died were born in the Dominican Republic and belong to well-established Haitian communities in the borderlands. These are not random Haitian people who ran across the border. You have to remember, we operate under a white supremacist system. So even these Dominican agents, these light-skinned agents are still collaborating with white supremacy. They're going to say the same thing. They're going to hit you with the same lies. These Haitian people were coming across the border. These niggers were coming across the border and they were eating our fruits, stealing our cows and our provisions. So death to all of them. That's barbarian shit. It's not black people shit right there. That's victim of white supremacy shit right there. Lauren Derby claims that a majority of those who died were born in the Dominican Republic and belonged to well-established Haitian communities in the borderlands. What Trujillo was saying could have very well have not even been true. Matter of fact, it most likely wasn't. He most likely didn't even have any Dominican people, Dominican population as a whole, that was telling him that, oh, all of this is happening, these Haitian people need to go. He probably didn't even have that, because Haitians and Dominicans were interracially uh connecting with each other and intraracially, establishing themselves amongst each other for however long. So let's see what else we got. Wow. Due to the corruption deeply embedded within the Haitian bureaucracy, however, white supremacy, survivors on average received only 2 cents each. In the agreement signed in Washington, D.C. on 1938, the Dominican government defended the massacre as a response to illegal immigration by undesirable Haitians and recognized no responsibility whatsoever for the killings, with Trujillo stating how the agreement established new laws prohibiting migration between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. Trujillo's regime thus used a moment of international inquiry to legitimize his anti-Haitian policies. See, there was a part in here where, and this is where they're saying the number of victims is, they go from one Haitian president said 12,000, another saying the Dominican Republic's foreign minister put the number of dead at 17,000. Dominican historian Bernardo Vega estimated as many as 35,000. You got a Dominican historian himself telling you, like, nah, hey, we violated, bro. Like, we killed a lot of them. All right. As I'm winding this down, I wanted to get into his discussion with none other but Jane Elliott. Jane Elliott. Not even suspected. The admitted racist, Jane Elliott. For those who are familiar with the cows context of white supremacy, Jane Elliott.
Traced as far as you can trace it back.
Jane Elliott is an admitted racist, y'all. She's admitted to being a racist herself. On the context of white supremacy, if anybody's not familiar, I suggest y'all get familiar. That is a podcast program that is designed to, it works in junction, to me, it works in junction with the ISIS papers and the compensatory Codebook by Neely Fuller. And Neely Fuller has been a guest on the Cows, the Context of White Supremacy podcast, which is on all platforms. You can even find it on YouTube here. Neely Fuller has been a guest on it at least 14 to 15 times. Francis Cress Wilson has been a guest on it at least 14 to 15 times. Omar Johnson has been a guest on it. Tariq Nasheed has been a guest on it. If any one of these individuals that you can think of, for the most part, that has been attempted to do counter-racist work, has been a guest on it. But the focus of the program is to interview white people, predominantly white authors, white people who claim to be doing counter-racist work, and help educate non-white people on how the system of white supremacy works. And Jane Elliott is one of the people who was actually on the context of white supremacy. If I'm not mistaken, she's been on it maybe twice, but I know she's been on it one time for sure because I listened to it myself. And She's an admitted racist. She says all white people are racist, right? Part of well, let me remove this banner real quick. Part of what white supremacy does, right? And part of what white supremacists do is they don't tell the truth and they mislead you and they confuse you. I believe that's what she's doing here. This is something that she also said on the context of white supremacy, and she was called out for it by Gus T. Renegade. Shout out Gus T. Renegade. I really, really suggest y'all listen to it at first. These programs are like 2.5 hours long, but I promise you they are all worlds of constructive information that you do not receive in school. And Gus T. Renegade does a great job of compiling all of these different news reports and articles and all of this information on a week-to-week, day-to-day basis. Has been on for 14 years this February coming. So he's been broadcasting for over 13 years. Great work of art, man. It's great. So many. It brings a great understanding to how the system of white supremacy works, especially when you can have white supremacists on the program to show you how they practice white supremacy. And so she says some
if you can have it traced as far as you can
problematic
trace it
shit.
back, you'll find out that every human being living on the face of the earth today has in their DNA a percentage of their DNA that came from Africa. Now it's time to get rid of the idea of black and white. We are not black and white. We are all shades of brown. We are all shades of brown because we all have some melanin in our skin. And when we get rid of those two terms, black and white, we're going to change this situation. Blacks have been abused because of that word for years. It's time for them to say, yeah, we were proud of it for a while, but now let's give it up. Let's call us what we are. If you don't have much iron in your blood, you're called anemic. You need that iron, so you must be anemic. If you don't have enough melanin to protect your cells from the damaging rays of the sun, you must be melanemic. And if you have more, you must be melanaceous. And if you have a lot of melanin in your skin, you're melanotic. And the word melanotic is in the dictionary. It means having great amounts of melanin in your skin to make you almost black, but not black. Realize that we could use terms that have no negative connotation if we chose to, but white people don't want to give it up, and black young people don't want to give it up. It's time to give up those two words.
I'm over here talking with my mic off. Good Lord. Good Lord, y'all. Good Lord. That is not cool. Anyways, this is why FBA. First of all, the whole Jane Elliott thing, y'all might not have even heard me on the Jane Elliott. Jane Elliott is an admitted racist white supremacist. She's been on the context of white supremacy, like I said, and on the context of white supremacy, she has admitted to not just practicing white supremacy, but herself. She's also said that we shouldn't call ourselves black. And so all I'm saying is, if we shouldn't call ourselves black, we should call ourselves non-white victims of white supremacy, as per the code. That's what the code says. You have 3 racial classifications: white, non-white, white supremacists. Non-white people cannot be white supremacists because they're not white. Then you have white who can be white supremacists, but can never prove that they're not white supremacists because the system of white supremacy still exists. And as long as that system still exists, all white people have to operate and function within that system, which demands that white people practice racism, white supremacy in all 9 areas of human activity for the system to function. And then you have white supremacists. So white and white supremacists, they alternate. Some may argue, I argue that it's all the time. I don't think that there's ever a moment in time where a white person is not a white supremacist or not a racist, because until they end the system of white supremacy racism, we should always be suspicious of white people. He didn't give me the vibe that he was necessarily suspicious there, but then, as I've shown, he leaves a melanated woman for a lesser melanated woman. He spews a white supremacist talking point about Haitians being violent towards Dominicans when historically the trend has always been Dominicans being violent towards Haitians, as you've seen with the Parsley Massacre. He's advocating for black men. This is where that passport bros. He's advocating for FBA. This is not FBA business. Haitians have not extended a hand to us, nor have the African countries. I'm not going to get into the African countries because if I'm not mistaken, it's not Liberia, or is it? I'm not sure. But I do know that there are African, have at least 2 that have extended a process for dual citizenship for Black Americans. I'm not necessarily a big advocate for that because for me, I'm not looking at that as something that's extremely counter-racist, because African people themselves, all non-white people themselves, have been confused by the system of white supremacy. And so just because you go to Africa don't mean that you're ending the system of white supremacy. That don't stop the system of white supremacy because it's still operating in Africa. But as for Haiti, in the initial Declaration of Independence for Haiti, right? In the document, it said that any victims of racism, white supremacy, aka, that's what I'm saying. It didn't say that, but that's basically what it meant. Any Black person who is able to escape persecution. Matter of fact, I don't want y'all to listen to me say it, because y'all might say I'm lying. I don't want y'all to listen to me say it. Haiti Declaration of Independence. Free people. Let's see. Trying to get this to y'all. To y'all, man. Please be patient with me. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Like and subscribe. Let's see. This shit is killing me. This is a whole nother. All right, y'all. Anyways, yeah, that turned into a whole nother process. I ain't even about to waste no more time. So long story short, in the Declaration of Independence, the initial Declaration of Independence, it stated that any individuals who manage to gain their freedom, or am I bugging? No, that's the Haitian Constitution. I'm bugging. Haitian Constitution of 1805. We go. See? Gotta use your brain a little more. Gotta think. Thank y'all for sticking with me, man. Thank y'all for sticking with me. I got it. Share this with y'all real quick. All right. So the document below was printed in the New York Evening Post, July 15th, 1805. It was transcribed into the version below by Bob Corbett on April 4th, 1999. It is not the complete Constitution, but close. All right. The reader should note that at this time, the entire island of Hispaniola was under the rule of Haiti, thus the mention of islands that are today part of the Dominican Republic. Okay. So Article 1. The people inhabiting the island formerly called Santo Domingo have hereby agreed to form themselves into a free state, sovereign and independent of any other power in the universe under the name of Empire of Haiti. Slavery is forever abolished. Citizens of Haiti are brothers at home. Equality in the eyes of the law is incontestably acknowledged, and there cannot exist any titles, advantages, or privileges other than those necessarily resulting from the consideration and reward of services rendered to liberty and independence. The law is the same to all, whether it punishes or whether it protects. The law has no retroactive effect. Property is sacred. Its violation shall be severely prosecuted. The quality of citizen of Haiti is lost by emigration and countries and condemnation to corporal or disgrace punishments. The fifth case carries with it the punishment of death and confiscation of property. The quality of citizen is suspended in consequence of bankruptcies and failures. No person is worth of being a Haitian who is not a good father, good son, good husband, and especially a good soldier. Fathers and mothers are not permitted to disinherit their children. Every citizen must possess a mechanic art. No white man of whatever nation he may be shall put his foot on this territory with the title of master or proprietor. Neither shall he in future acquire any property therein. That's something that, again, white supremacy made possible for Haitians to make an amendment to. White supremacists made an amendment to the Constitution to allow that more recently. After that, much long after that. The preceding article cannot in the smallest degree affect white women who have been naturalized Haitians by government, nor does it extend to children already born or that may be born of the said woman. The Germans and Polanders naturalized by government are also comprised in the dispositions of the present article. That might have been a little iffy, dog. I don't know about that one. All exception of color among the children of one and the same family, of whom the chief magistrate is the father, being necessarily to seize, the Haitians shall henceforward be known only by the generic appellation of blacks. The empire of Haiti is indivisible. Its territory is distributed into 6 military divisions. Hold on. Of the empire of the government. I'm trying to see where they get to. Who managed to gain freedom. Let's see. Let's see. He deserves death who gives it to his fellow. That's tough. All property which formerly belonged to any white Frenchman is incontestably and of right confiscated to the use of the state. Every stranger inhabiting the territory of Haiti shall be equally with the Haitians subject to the correctional and criminal laws of the country. Every Haitian who, having purchased property from a paid part of the purchase money stipulated in the act of sale shall be responsible of the domains of the state for the remainder of the sum due. Marriage is an act purely civil and authorized by the government. The law for it, a particular law, respect for the cheese, culture, commerce, faith, analysis. Did I miss it? I think I might have missed it, y'all. Did I miss it? See, this is something that you should. This is where you got to do the research first. Okay. All right. In 1804, they triumphed and created the America's first independent black nation, a singular development amid a global system undergirded. News from the new nation was censored by colonial powers, which regarded Haiti as a pariah state, which explains why Haiti is still in the state that it is now, and explains why any Haitians would be trying to flee from there, even though Dennis Berlin is talking about, we didn't flee, we stood our ground, and we fought. And y'all fought and are under a system of white supremacy, just like everybody else. So I don't know what that was supposed to mean, but U.S. enslaved people and freemen eventually learned of its independence from sailors, the anti-slavery press, ministers, and other sources. Soon, followers in the United States were singing the praises of the Haitian Revolution, which became a powerful metaphor of freedom and equality throughout the Atlantic. For their part, Haitian leaders forced the issue of slave emancipation onto the global agenda and offered their country as a haven to the oppressed. The symbolism of the Haitian Revolution resonated as far as Greece. On January 14, 1804, only days after declaring Haiti's independence, revolutionary leader Jean-Jacques Dessalines issued an executive act offering 40 piasters per returnee to any ship captain who would repatriate Haiti's enslaved people and the formerly enslaved who had fled during the revolutionary conflicts. Haiti's population had been decimated by the conflicts, and to replenish it, he tried to recruit 500,000 Africans, indigenous people, and U.S. blacks, offering them not only freedom, but immediate citizenship once they set foot on Haitian soil, provided they first declare themselves black. Soon after the publication of Dessalines' decree, many responded to his offer. Dessalines would not live to advance his dream. In 1806, he by a coalition of soldiers disabused by his agrarian policies and authoritarian governing style. The country was divided first into 3 regions and then consolidated into 2. And then, as you can see, let's see. Dessalines' initiative was formally codified into Article 44 of the Southern Republic's 1816 Constitution, which stipulated that all Africans and Indians and the descendants of their blood born in the colonies or in foreign countries who come to reside in the Republic of Haiti will be recognized as Haitians, but will enjoy the right of citizenship only after 1 year of residence. That new law was first tested months later, in January 1817, when 7 enslaved Jamaicans commandeered the vessel on which they were serving and sailed to southern Haiti, where they found, as they had expected, legal protection, freedom from slavery, and access to Haitian citizenship, according to historian Ada Ferrer. Let's see. This is a great article. I gotta tap into that article. That's a great article. But hey, I'm gonna leave it there. Listen, Dennis Sperling, I fuck with you, brother, but you gotta do better, bro. This is not it.
Several years back, where a young Dominican woman had her arms cut off.
This is not it, bro.
A Haitian man who she rebuffed his advances. There are stories that go around the countryside where, you know, the immigrants come there and then get jobs and they end up killing the people in the fincas or the Dominican owners of the property. So there's a lot that we don't know.
You get jobs and you kill the owners of the property.
American, it's not my job as an American. It's not my job to be the
let's bring
that
to the table. Bring that to the table. And I would love to be able to have some sort of dialogue about
right
that.
Here in Harris County,
not cool.
in the lockup over the last 2 years. So we have our own issues as Black Americans that we need to deal with.
But my whole thing is y'all own issues as Black Americans are the same issues Haitians are facing and the same issues every non-white person, specifically Black person, is facing worldwide. It might be in a different terrain. It might be in a different territory. But at the end of the day, you're dealing with a system of white supremacy. So when you say that you have your own problems that you're facing, you're not solving the system of white supremacy by going to the Dominican Republic and advocating for passport bros so that you could get more Venmos, right? And advocating for off-code behavior because you're creating a racial designation as a victim of white supremacy that white people do not have to acknowledge. So far, I have not heard the white power structure, white people as a whole, acknowledge foundational Black American as a racial designation. And according to the code, white people control and designate who they deem as Black or white, not you. So you could be a foundational Black American all you want until a white person come around and tell you, well, you're not foundational, actually. Actually, Dennis, I did a genealogy check. And when I did the genealogy check, it seems as though you got some blood in the Dominican Republic as well. Hey, you actually might have some Haitian blood, Dennis. I don't know if you're entitled to your reparations. Again, it's like, what are we fighting for? What is FBA? What is the code? What are we fighting for? One thing, the last thing I'm gonna leave y'all with is, at the end of the day, when it comes to the code book and when it comes to being on code and off code, we talk about ending the system of white supremacy. And what foundational Black American as a racial destination and slogan is doing. Although I have found it comedic when Tariq be going in on some of the people, some of the brothers and sisters of the diaspora who are more confused than he is. And, you know, but name calling, you know, tethers and all of that other stuff, that's off code. The code says that you should not name call. Coons and all of that, that falls under that. Tethers and all of that other stuff, the same way a Katas does. It's all off code behavior. So you don't combat off code behavior with more off code behavior. You get on code, especially for Tariq as somebody. And this is not, I shouldn't even be, because he need his own video, right? Because that's a whole nother conversation. But the name calling, we don't do that. FBA, Foundational Black American, has not been recognized by the white power structure, by white supremacy as a whole, because white supremacists are the ones who determine what they will call you when they feel like it. That's how the system of white supremacy works. And if you're not trying to end that system, which is what FBA is not trying to do. FBA is not to put an end to the system of white supremacy. That's what my thing is. That's why it's not on code. How is FBA leading to off code behavior? Shouldn't it be leading to producing justice and being on code? It's not. Why is it not? Because FBA really was just a move to get reparations, to signify yourself and stand out, right? Highlight yourself as, hey, I'm a Black American. I've been here. We need reparations. I don't want them getting reparations. We want our reparations because we've been here. That's all it was. Why is that off code? Because that's not about ending the system of white supremacy. That's about getting a payout or a paycheck from the white supremacists. You asking the white supremacists for money, for restitution, which is on code. That's not to say you shouldn't. Because the code is you do the best you can with what you have. And you always keep asking for more if you can get more when you do deserve more. Because those who need the most, that's what justice is. Those who need the most help receive the most constructive help. That's why I had an issue and took offense to what Dennis Berlin said, because do Dominicans need the most help in that scenario when that question was asked, or do Haitians need the most help? Because Haitians are the ones that he's talking about are actually being discriminated and persecuted against and being mistreated. So did you provide the most constructive help for Haitians in that moment in time? No. Even though you said that you wanted to be an unbiased party and you didn't want to speak to either side, you still ended up speaking to the side of the Dominican Republic by saying that Haitians committed this atrocious act against this Dominican woman. Again, a woman, black people, helpless woman, black man, helpless woman, Haitian man, helpless woman, white supremacy. It aligns. So that's what you did. And so when you did that, you did not offer the most constructive help for Haitians or for black people, right? So at the end of the day, that leads to off-code behavior because that does not produce justice. FBA is about receiving reparations, which is constructive, but it doesn't end the system of white supremacy. So you shouldn't be creating more division amongst yourself. And that is literally what they are saying, and what he is saying is, hey, we want to separate and let it be known we are not them, they are not us. We're different. We're separate. We are our own people. They are their own people. That mental divide and conquer. You see how white supremacy already has functioned with divide and conquer? Then they've moved towards a mental divide and conquer on top of the physical divide and conquer that they've done with the lands. And the code gets into that. Neely Fuller gets way deep into that. So-called America, so-called all of these nations, the borders are only borders to us. White supremacy has no borders. It's just a vacation to them no matter where they go. Just a different territory that they own and operate. So in this scenario, you're dividing yourself mentally, spiritually, in a non-constructive way from other victims of racism, white supremacy, which will only further create more conflict between each other, right? That will only create more conflict between each other, which already happens in the system of white supremacy. Creates more confusion because now you're trying to create a racial category, and a lot of black people. I've been in a lot of spaces speaking to a lot of black Americans. A lot of black Americans are not going for it. A lot of black Americans are going for it. And I've been in a lot of spaces where they hear Toussaint and they looking at me crazy, talking to me crazy. Or for that alone. Now, I mean, I done been called the tether by people who don't even know the code themselves. They ain't never even heard of it. They can't even tell you who Neely Fuller Jr. is. They never heard of that man. Never heard of Francis Cress Welsing. Never even opened any of these books. Never seen them. Never listened to a single audio recording of any one of these individuals. But then when to sit down and talk to you about white supremacy and how you're a tether that's working within and working with white supremacy to create whatever. And that's the confusion that I'm talking about, is that you get hyped up thinking that you can call yourself something when the entire system of white supremacy historically has shown you that no matter what you call yourself, it does not adhere to you. The man not. You think you the man not. When the boys show up, when the police show up, like Neely Fuller said, you think you the man till the man with the badge show up. Then you calling them the boys, but they jail like you a boy. I've been there too. I know what that feel like. A lot of us been there. You know what that feel like. Do you really feel like a man when you got one white man on this side, one white man on that side holding your arm, and you in handcuffs, and they bringing you into a cell? Do you really feel like the man? You feel like the man, or do you feel like a boy? Or do you feel like you're being stopped from being able to be a man because you're being incarcerated and thrown into a cell with a whole bunch of other niggas who thought that they was the man but got locked by the man, like Neely Fuller says. So yeah, if the goal is to get reparations, and that's what you got to do to get reparations, jack FBA, but maintain a codified perspective and stay on code. System of white supremacy, end the system of white supremacy as soon as possible. Replace it with a system of justice. That's the code. Go get the code book. Everybody, go get the code book. If you're non-white, if you're not a white person, and you want to further understand the system of white supremacy and further understand why black people are in the predicament that we're in and what we can do to get out of this predicament and end this system of white supremacy, you go get the code. If you talking about being on code and you think, but you ain't never actually read the code book, you need to go get the code book. Because I was somebody who thought I was on code. I was somebody who thought I was on code, for real. And I'm only getting more and more on code. I'm not even as on code as I should be. I'm trying to get there. Attempted counter racist. So I'm trying to get on code. You should be trying to get more and more on code. As Black people, we have been functioned, we have been trained, conditioned, and programmed to be off code in all 9 areas of human activity. You don't just change that by saying, "Oh, I'm on code now." That's not how that works. That's not how that works. You don't just change it because now you feel like you on code. You got to actually get on code by reading the code, learning the code, understanding the code, recognizing the code, recognizing what is off code and what is on code, what is constructive and what is non-constructive. So yeah, man, this is Young Toussaint. I'm signing out. Like I said, go stream that Young Toussaint on all streaming platforms. I'm even on YouTube. Even got some songs up here on YouTube. We got new music on the way. Always on the way. Excuse the grizzly bear. Now, I mean, I'm in my grizzly bear state to start the year. We about to get a fresh cut soon. You already know how that go. Shout out Dennis Sperling, though. The main takeaway is Dennis Sperling is a victim of white supremacy. Okay? So this is not to say that Dennis Sperling is a bad person. Dennis Sperling is a horrible person. This is not to say that I have any type of hatred or vitriol for him, although I do take exception to what he said. He's a victim of white supremacy. Okay? And victims of white supremacy have been programmed to say things that are off code, to do things that are off code, to do things that are non-constructive for Black people, to say things that promote things that are non-constructive for Black people. That is the system of white supremacy. Because if that wasn't the case, then the system of white supremacy wouldn't exist. So you have to already assume that these individuals, all of these individuals are not on code, even myself included. And you do have to assume that white people are on code with white supremacy. And he made it to Fox 26. To my knowledge, that is not a Black-owned news channel. So shout out Dennis Sperling, but you was off code there. And you, I know you know better. I know you could do better. I know I'm younger than you. This probably sound like, oh, who is this young man think he is? That, hey, it's all about understanding. At the end of the day, it's all about I'm saying is true or false. It's all about telling the truth. I'm just trying to tell the truth. I ain't trying to sit here and come for nobody, attack nobody, none of that. I'm just looking at it like, hey, what you said was very problematic. What you said was not constructive. And what you said honestly disappointed me as somebody who listened and listens sometimes to Dennis Sperling. But now he's in an era where he's completely doubled down on the Passport Bros movement. And Omowale Africa did a great live stream on that. I might even have to touch up on that too from my perspective. But shout out Omowale Africa. He's done a great deal of work on speaking about the Passport Bros movement and whether or not that's actually constructive for Black people. Dennis Sperling is one of the leading figures of the Passport Bros movement now. That boy, he's living it out. He is a passport bro. He went and got the passport. He went to the DR, got him a lighter-skinned woman, and the woman that he had children with. He's talking about that's his fiance. He lost hope for dating Black women in America. Modern Black women in America are a lost cause. So you got to grab yourself a passport and go get the women of another man's creation, like Omowale said. Get the women that were produced by another man's nation. Because you can't produce any women in your own. Why not? System of white supremacy. So should we be focused on going to the or should we be focused on the system of white supremacy that's making you feel like you have to go to the DR to get a lighter skinned woman? And then we can address the fact that she's lighter skinned. Is it the most constructive thing for your children, your young black men, to see you going for a lighter skinned woman? Is it the most constructive thing? Fair question. Dr. Umar, what would Dr. Umar say about that? I know you probably say, oh, I don't care about what no Dr. Umar got to say. Is it the most constructive thing? Your area of expertise is law. His area of expertise is education. If we don't want to use Dr. Umar, Jawanza Kunjufu. How about that? The conspiracy to destroy black boys. Interracial dating. Dating outside the race. The ratio of black men to black women is already slim. You mean to tell me you can't find one black woman that's on code with what you want to do? Can't find not one for you to share your generational wealth with? You gotta go to the Brazil, or you gotta go to Spain for you to go find women of a completely different culture, because you can't find any women to reproduce your melanin with. I'm just saying, these is rough. It ain't easy, but these are things we got to think about, man. Y'all see my little kitty in the back, man. Y'all see the kitty in the back. But hey, I want to thank y'all for tapping in with me. I appreciate
Rappers be dealing with
apathy,
they doing drugs too casually. We looking for a new strategy. My niggas moving with world like they faculty mass students instead of mass shooters. I move with that.
We're gonna have to run that back.
Yeah, man. In America.
Thank y'all for coming through. Absolutely appreciate it. Remember, hit that like and subscribe button. We got more videos on the way. We gonna up it. I'm gonna up it, man. I'm gonna up the. We gonna get a whole backdrop. We gonna get everything going. Go stream that music. Go stream that Young Toussaint on all platforms. Now me, we gonna rock out to this on the way out. Y'all see the Cash App, hit the Cash App as well. If y'all got any beats, if any producers have any beats, if anybody comes across this and you a producer, send me a beat, man. I'm gonna get on it. We're gonna get to it. We're trying to make constructive rap music, make constructive music, period. Get the music sounding, because a lot of what's going on in that area of entertainment is not constructive for black people. So we're trying to at least add a little bit more constructive flavor and elements into there. Send me a little something and we can get to work. Appreciate y'all.
Y'all niggas rapping about silly things. I dance y'all squares like Billie Jean. I've been smoking this weed since like 17. There was days where I thought it was medicine. But now that I'm older and keep my composure, I know that they told you I'm medicine. Well, then, let it sink. Yeah, let it sink. You cannot stop my endeavors. They told me start applying that pressure. Wrongfully eviction that shit from my head up. Got on my back, now I'm chasing some cheddar. He ride as ever, I gotta do better. Won't settle for less, man. Send the address, we don't play with those stresses. They try to get all the slaves in check. Now we slave for the checks. IRS for my mama in debt. I've been trying to get up out of this mess. I'm not no dummy, niggas die for respect. She just want me take some time to reflect. She tired of smelling that weed on my breath. Shout out mama, all she want is the best. Shout out mama, all she want is the best. Shout out mama, all she want is the young black man in America. I get on that stage and I tear it up. But they say that I'm causing hysteria. No, they do not want me in them areas. Been feeling like they do not care enough. I don't know what you see when you stare at us. Hey, young black man in America. Hey, young black man in America. Young black man in America. I get on that stage and I tear it up. But they say that I'm causing hysteria. No, they do not want me in them areas. Been feeling like they do not care enough. I don't know what you see when you stare at us. Hey, young black man in America. Hey, young black man